Welcome to Club Domingo, brought to you by Cyclone Comics.
I don't even have to try.
Okay. Anyway,
Right.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Morning, Gary. How are you? I'm
Yeah.
making you laugh, and I don't even know what I've done. I'm such a
You're just being.
clown.
You're just being. How you been?
Mm, good, busy. As the listeners will find out in a little while, in a week or so's time. Well, I'm
Right.
busy, but
Right.
yes,
Okay. Yes. What shirt have you got on there? Just in case someone is visiting for the first time.
I'm wearing my Lassie Vanny Domum t-shirt. It's some Greener Pastures merch. Lassie stands for leftist animalist survivalist society, including the environment. And Veni Domum is come home,
Um,
Lassie, come home. Yeah, it's the socio-political activist group that Colin McGuinn from Greener Pastures uh, invented. Heads is possibly the only member of.
and you have some
Yes.
of these for sale.
Yeah, if somebody's desperate for one, hit me up. But I actually, Brendan Boyd, who did we mention him the other week? But anyway, Brendan Boyd, let's mention him now. Watched for the first time last week or the week before, the week before or after Comic Con, and I was talking about the pencils edition of Greener Pastures #8, and he
Yes.
said, "I've got to get one of those. How do I get it?" And of course, he's Adelaide based, so he'll be getting that in paper cuts while I'm at paper cuts. So again, similar thing. If you're in Sydney, I'll have these at Oz Comic Con Sydney and Canberra. I'll be at paper cuts with stuff like this as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
And Brendan Boyd, if you remember, Brendan Boyd did
Mhm.
quite philosophical, mini comic-y sort of things. And he's a musician. He once released one of his comics as a larger format with a CD for a soundtrack as well. And
Yep.
and finally getting back into comics from what I see on a few of his socials at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I bumped
yes.
into Brendan when I was in Adelaide for paper cuts.
Mm.
Hadn't seen him in many, many, many moons, indeed.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Okay.
He published a two-page Greener Pastures. We call it a short, but it wasn't really. It was like a poem that we had, and I illustrated like the desk that the poem was sitting on. A Greener Pasture, like written by Trevor.
Oh,
So
right.
he
Okay.
he
Yeah, nice.
published that,
Yeah.
and I think did he? Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, so wonderful. Yeah, and he was involved with issue one and all of that kind of stuff back in the
Right.
day.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. Do you have anything on your list of things to talk about today?
Well, you've obviously already forgotten to ask me, did I buy tickets to Chocolate Starfish
Oh,
doing
God.
Bat Out of
Yeah.
Hell in its
Yes. Follow
entirety?
up from last week. Yeah.
I
And
got
so have
straight
you.
off the I got straight off the discussion and looked up the tickets, and there were 4 tickets front row at the Thirul concert. Sydney was like up the back at the end more, and I really can't be paying good money and sitting up the back anymore. I just can't stand it. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Like I said, when we saw Marlon Williams the other week, we were right up the back. But I find it really hard to spend good money and then sit up the back and not be able to see. So I looked up Enmore Theatre, and all the tickets were up the back. And I looked up Thirul, which is on the way to Wollongong, just north of Wollongong, which is south of Sydney, for those who don't know. Um, and there were four tickets front row. So somebody had obviously sold back their tickets.
Right.
Front
Yeah.
row, center, and I bought 2 of those. So I have got to remember to bring earplugs for that one because I'm sure it's going to be really loud.
Yeah.
So yeah, Chocolate Starfish are doing, but they're just a little bit of research. They do the entirety of Bat Out of Hell. They do a bunch of other Jim Steinman songs, so Total Eclipse of the Heart, things like that. I hope they do like a few from Bad for Good,
Hmm.
Steinman solo
Hmm.
album.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be a 2-hour long show of just that, let alone the support act. Support act is actually doing Chocolate Starfish songs because Chocolate
That's
Starfish is
great.
not doing any.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're doing those covers, which is a great idea. And the difference between this Bat Out of Hell tour and the last one is that they're bringing a string section with them this time. So it should be
Wow.
awesome. Can't wait.
Wonder if they'll play I can do anything for
Yeah.
love, but I won't do that. Ooh.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sure they will. It's one of the big famous
Yeah.
Meatloaf Steinman songs. Definitely not one of my favorites.
No. Anyway.
Yeah, so very
okay.
excited about that. It's like in August or something. So if you're coming to Chocolate Starfish and Thirul, say hello.
Thirul.
And
Jeez.
Thirul.
Thirul.
And Anita's. Yeah. And it's going to be a big day. It's going to be a very cultural day, Gary. It's going to be a very cultural day because we actually have matinee tickets to Cats. I think it's at the Star in Sydney at the Lyric Theatre. Yeah, so we're going to see Cats and then hopping in the car and driving down to Thirul and seeing Chocolate Starfish. So what a day!
You
Can't
culture
wait.
head. Yeah.
That's right.
You know, I've never seen Cats, and I have no desire to see Cats.
It's actually not my favorite. I wouldn't go, but Amory loves it. So
Right.
Okay. So I think I'm dragging her to Bat Out of Hell. So I think it's fair that she's dragging me to Cats.
Yeah.
And she's not really dragging me. I'm sure it's a lovely little musical, but it's not. If I can't even remember it. I've seen it, but I can't even remember it because I think it's just like a bunch of disparate poems that they set music to, and it doesn't have that overall kind of plot that I like to really get involved in. So
aren't all the characters named Mr. Thrippity Dippity and sort of strange things like that? Yes. Yeah. The only live theatre story that's worth telling on a Australian comics podcast that we're doing here, or chat show, is that when I went to America once, Mike Grell shouted us to the Phantom of the Opera in LA with Michael Crawford when he was still the Phantom. And so I got to see.
Oh my God!
Yeah, the original.
Amory would be so jealous. Yeah. Michael Crawford's amazing. Yeah.
And who was the lady that was starring with
Pryor?
him? Yeah, Marina Pryor. Or was that the Australian one?
She's English.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, but
she's the voice. Bongo alert! I saw Bongo going down the stairs.
Well, I didn't see.
Yeah.
Okay. Speak of the devil.
Yeah.
Oh well, we saw the one night in New York that we went to musicals. So the four of us, Amory and I and the two kids, Amory and Annabelle went to see. I think it was the Book of Mormon, which I had never seen. That was the first time they'd seen it. I think it was Book of Mormon. And Samuel and I went and saw Spider-Man. Into the Dark.
Oh, God.
Into the Dark, yeah, whatever it was called.
Yeah.
The terrible spider. I think we saw it in like its last week or last couple of weeks. And yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible.
Was that the one written by Bono and The Edge?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. And it was as bad as everyone thought.
Yeah, it was terrible. Can't not see it. And we came out and we had snow, so it was beautiful. And we saw Magneto and Professor X and Dr. Manhattan in Waiting for Godot. So was it really Professor X? It was.
Wouldn't that be amazing if they were in costume, in character?
That's right. Sitting going, hang on, that's three comic book characters in this great play. So yeah, so we've seen that as well. Well, we saw Fun Home here in Sydney, which is based on
Alison Bechdel's.
Bechdel's graphic novel Fun Home. We saw the musical of that on stage here, which is a really interesting version of the book, of the comic.
Okay. I wasn't aware that it was turned into a musical, funnily enough.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a good one to read as well. Bechdel, who kind of half invented the Bechdel test, where, you know what that is?
Something about if you don't mention a male.
No, like in a story, do females have any agency, basically, is what it is, or is it all about the males? Do females ever talk about anything other than the male? Do they ever talk to each other? Do they, that kind of thing? So
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I don't know the rules off the outline off the top of my head, but yeah. So her name is associated with it because she came up with something similar to that, and then I think somebody else formalized it into something and called
Right.
it the Bechdel test.
Yeah.
Which is it's as far as storytelling is concerned, it's a really great little set square to put over your story just to double check things,
Yeah.
to double check your biases and stuff. And it doesn't just have to be, I think, doesn't have to just be to check about the agency of females in your story. But you could pop in a different X factor there
Yeah.
instead, and so it's a good way to check things, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. You could replace it with Italian accented platypus, for example.
That's right, exactly. You still do that, right? You still give him the Italian accent?
I've made it. What's the canon that when he's really angry, he'll slip back into his Italian-sounding accent. But he's been formally trained to talk normally when he's in control. Just that he has a bit of an anger problem, so he'll let fly.
That's a great thing.
Yeah,
it's a great quirk. Great. So we're talking about Flash Domingo, everybody. The
namesake of the show.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Club Domingo's boss.
Yes.
Flash.
In fact, I've come to the conclusion that Club Domingo is more of a suggestion than a noun. It's not a club. It's next time you see him,
then club him. Got it. Fabulous. I'll never be able to forget that now. That's the way it'll be in my head. It won't be a place, the Club Domingo. It'll be a request. Please, Club Domingo. Sam Young did that to me once with Issue One as well, and it's very half the time
Issue One.
Yeah, instead of thinking of it as being the first issue number one, I sometimes think of it as issuing one, whatever that one might be.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
you issue one. Oh, okay. Oh no. So yeah, fun with words, children.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So anyway, things to talk about. I'm getting it out of the way relatively early. That Belle suggested we talk about women in comics as far as wives in comics. So she wanted us to talk about Bongo and Mango. Of course, Mango's Belle's nickname with her friends. So
is it really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we really have a Bongo and a Mango.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Unbelievable. You probably have told me that before, but I've probably forgotten. You know what? I just did a little bit of a 30-minute research yesterday into really good documentaries about comics. Like proper documentaries about a creator, or not just the history of superheroes, which have their place as well, but one that came out, I think it's like maybe 2 years ago now, is called Married to Comics. And I've never been able to see it. I was looking to see if there might be like a free version somewhere, and I think they specifically look at a particular cartoonist who I don't know the name of. He's a pretty obscure underground cartoonist, and his partner, his wife. But I think they're talking to a bunch of other, like, mostly undergroundy kind of comic book artists,
right,
and their wives, or maybe specifically their wives. So like that's the kind of documentary I'm kind of after, something that really looks at it from a very kind of interesting point of view. So interesting you bring that up today. And dear listener, sometimes Gary will say to me what we're talking about today, and sometimes he certainly doesn't. And I did not know that was the case today. So in what way are we doing that, Gary? What's that about?
Well, I don't know. I know that Bongo invests a lot of time and support on your work and the Greener Pastures, and she's with you, on every convention trip and all that kind of stuff. Belle doesn't.
Is that right? Could she hear you?
I put it down to she lets me do my thing. Not that I go to conventions or anything like that, but she's not as invested in the comics thing as, not that Bongo's invested, even just that she's invested in you as a partner. So
that's where it comes from, isn't it?
Yeah, and I wouldn't say, I'm guessing that she's not an expert in characters and and comics in general. She's more supportive of you and your career and what Greener Pastures represents to the family unit and to you.
Yeah, yeah. I think you've hit it on the head there. And via that, we have lots of really important people in our lives, like yourself, Gary. And, just to pluck one person out of the air, Louis Joyce down in Wollongong, who we only ever see at conventions. But anytime Louis and his partner and their three children can be around us is a wonderful thing. And that's half the reason why Anne-Marie will love to go to the Wollongong events, or if Louis coming up to Sydney-based events, is Sheikha and the kids coming? It's such a great thing. Yeah, so I think you've hit it on the head. It's the support of me and my passions, I guess. And we have a saying in this house. Especially when we're looking at something weird on the television, we will one of us turn to the other and say, "It could be worse," right? Instead of we go to comic conventions, which is a great, interesting thing to do, and of course it's art related and interesting people, and but maybe it would be coin collecting, or maybe I would have a garage full of plush toys, or not that there's like to use that euphemism. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but but it's kind of like I feel like this is at least a creative endeavor. I still try to make believe that maybe one day I can pull some kind of living out of it, which I don't at the moment. And Anne-Marie keeps going, that's not going to happen, right? So just enjoy what you're doing and continue to do it, and we'll make sure that it pays for itself, and we're all content with that.
But you're making big moves like the short film and things like that. I mean, there's
big costly moves, Gary. It costs a lot of money, and it's basically devoured my time for the years so far. But
it's a big swing to the sidelines,
which again, like I like to think like it's not the uppermost thing in my mind as a decision-making aspect of it, but show the kids that if you've got something that you believe in and want to see how far you can push it, then do so, push it and see how far it can go. So that's kind of part of that as well. Like I don't really like shrinking away from an idea, and it's the exact same thing. Like it's a small step to say, to a mate, Michael, let's do a comic strip in your uni paper, or vice versa. Michael said it to me. That's only a small step, but when you come back a few years later and say, let's spend the most amount of money we've ever spent maybe on anything in our lives on a print run, and see if that comes back. And used to cost a lot of money to have a booth at OzCon back in the day, and to buy half a booth, and so I don't know how you explain my relationship with money, because I make money. I teach at the moment, and I've been a designer and storyboard artist and whatnot. But I don't know what to do with money once I've got it. So it's it's hard to spend it on something that feels frivolous, like this thing, which has been inverted commas my career, my real career. Any work I've done has never really been what I want to do with my life. So, but it feels weird to be spending hard-earned money, because Anne-Marie makes the money in this house, right? She's the real breadwinner, and has been since day one. Not to say I haven't ever had full-time jobs. I've often had full-time jobs for years and years at a stretch, but I've been freelancing a lot of that time as well. But then again, I'm not very good at spending money on important things like a car or a new hot water system, or stuff like that either. So ours is due any minute now. It's like 50% beyond what its life should be. So that's it's that whole weird thing. Anne-Marie has a much better understanding of the reality of money. Not that I think, not that I don't know how I would survive, money wise, otherwise. I know bills have to be paid, and what budgeting is. I do all of that, but yeah, my relationship with money has always been kind of weird like that.
But she
It's
participates in your career as a strong support
absolutely,
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely, yeah. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
girls like that. I mean, she's there for me and my creative side, but she also gives me the space to do it, and she's not
mhm.
invested or interested in it. She just understands that it's important to me, and that's what she allows me to do. But if there was a convention in Hobart, she'd go, off you go. I'm going to stay home. You know, she has done it in the past, and she doesn't find it enjoyable. So
Yeah,
again, I don't feel that I should put her through it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I won't mention their name because I haven't got permission to. But another one of our friends, circle of friends that we mostly see at conventions, uh, his partner usually doesn't come to things, but she came to the Comic Con one and and specifically came up to say hello to me because we've seen each other socially, which is really lovely. So, but she came up and I said, "Oh, hi," and she said, "I'm staying, like I'm at the convention," and I said, uh, "Oh no, what did I say?" I said, "Oh, you're here," as if to say, like you're rarely at these things. You're here. She said, "Yeah, I'm staying for the whole day." I'm going, "Oh, that's fantastic." So every so often when it's an easy thing,
Yeah.
pop in, remind yourself of what the shenanigans is all about. But yeah, it's not incumbent upon the partner to come to the
But it's
to the
good that they
drag race
refresh their disdain for the whole thing.
yeah, that's right. Exactly. Refresh their disdain. So yeah. Um, so one of the points, I think language is important, and I and this is not to create a debate on this specifically, but using words like our partners allow us to do it, or let us do it, or give us a space to do it, I think is dangerous language. I think that's part of the partnership. This is who
Uh,
I am,
yeah,
right, and that is who they are, and we don't allow each other to do things. We support each other to do those things.
yeah, well said.
Yeah,
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 and I'm sure that that's actually what happens with you and Belle. It's definitely what happens with me and Anne Marie. And there are times where negotiation does happen because it is a partnership in life, and this is not going to happen this weekend or this Tuesday night or this year.
yeah,
Things like that
yeah,
have to be negotiated. So
yes,
no, you can't spend that amount of time over this period of time on that project or whatever.
yeah,
So
yeah,
um, it's a it's a point brought up often, like for
mm,
people like me at least. There's no way I'm speaking for anyone else, not even you. But it's definitely a point that comes home to me a lot, which is uh, uh, I think the sort of our partners, if it wasn't for that, both my life and my partner's life would be very much poorer for it. And I think that's where smart partner understands that this is what they're buying into, not
yeah,
that they're buying into Tim McEwen. And once we're married, we'll change that. It was like it wasn't. Yeah, it
yeah,
wasn't a surprise. So yeah,
yeah, yeah. Cool. I think it's pretty amazing that. A side question: do you have much of your art on the walls throughout the house?
not my own. A couple of pieces. Just trying to think. Not many. Anyway, go
Yeah.
on.
No, I don't know what my point was because I don't. I'm sort of like
Yeah,
not relegated. I relegate myself to have my little domain upstairs here, a couple of rooms that has my comic collection in one room, and this room is the actual drawing studio, which is a little bit bigger than just the box that's behind me. But
yeah,
and I count my lucky stars that I have space to be able to do what I do. Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and as you said, it's not with permission. That's just part of who I am. So that
yeah,
space is by default has to be allocated because
yeah.
yeah, that's what I need to do.
Yeah, this is our family home. So there's a bedroom for both of the kids, and since they moved out, uh, I'm now in Samuel's old bedroom. Uh, Annabelle's old bedroom will probably, once we fix it, because it's just a dumping ground at the moment, will probably be a guest room.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but but yeah, we whenever we kind of talk about downsizing, because we're in a house, if we're downsizing to a unit, we're definitely going to have to get like at least a 3 bedder because I'll need a studio. And the thing is, let's say like I don't make any money, very little money. But let's say I was a freelance art director who was making lots of money. I would still need that 3rd bedroom. So it's kind of, I need a studio space regardless, whether it's cottage business, hobby business, or like a full-on business. So yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Anyway, so here's to the other half, the silent partners in the comic book world. Huh?
Exactly. Love them to death.
She's trying to kill me again. She's poisoning my tea.
That's right. So there you go. That was an interesting topic to drop on me there, Gary.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. The other one I was going to run past you today is a bit of fun, and that's all it is, a bit of fun, is fantasy publishing. I think I warned you about this before we pressed record, but you haven't had a lot of time. You've had no time to think about this at all. But, if Cyclone Comics was to have, and I was inclined on going into expanding my publishing, and I had all the money in the world, what titles would I publish that have been published in the past or are publishing now, but they're Australian? And I'd say, yeah, I'd publish that in a heartbeat to expand the Cyclone brand and to support just a comic that has legs and a great concept behind it, et cetera, et cetera. So fantasy publishing.
Well, so would it have to be on brand? Is that what you're saying? Or just stuff that you like is on brand enough?
Well, stuff that is executed well, and I think as an IP would have a market for its for the comic. So it would be a half and half, a comic fan making a decision as well as a comic publisher with my publishing hat on.
But go ahead.
It's turned into a fairly long list, but
great.
So I would start off with a regular title of Platinum Grit.
Yes, that would have been top on my list. I don't know that you'll ever get Doug and Trudy to pick up those characters again.
This is the fantasy side of things.
Part of the fantasy, yeah, cool.
Okay. Next one would be, now just because I'm saying them as the top of the list doesn't mean there's no order to this.
Sure.
For whatever reason. Okay. But Pop Culture and 2 Minute Noodles comic by Dylan Naylor.
So new stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, very cool.
Yes. And same with Platinum Grit.
We know that Nat Carmichael is publishing a collection, right? Soon, I think.
I think so.
Dylan's currently, scanning and remastering old stuff. Yeah.
So, and this list, feel free to stop me and chat about things as we go along, because it's a good excuse to inform people about what these comics were and how important a role they may or may not have played or not. Yeah. But just your opinion as things go. That
reprinting of the Pop Culture and 2 Minute Noodles material is going to be really important when that hits. It's a little bit of a snapshot of the period, not just because of the social tendencies of the characters in the story, but because historical snapshot in that Dylan got lots of comic book people at the time to be drawing the stuff. So it'll be really interesting to look at.
And while the stories and the milieu was very Melbourne to me, it's also universal, the group of people living together, because they can't afford to pay rent by themselves. So like the mixed group of
the archetypes.
Indeed.
Very cool.
Another one that I would definitely put money down for is a regular Hairbutt the Hippo comic.
Yeah.
In its
very cool.
In its broadest, M to R rated glory. I reckon you really go for it.
The problem with that is that you would have you'd get 12 months worth of material delivered to you in the first week, because Jason is that fast.
So we'd release it weekly. So Hairbutt the Hippo weekly.
Yeah, wow. 20 to 30 pages a week. Fantastic. Yeah, he could do that
in tabloid format, black and white art.
Brilliant.
Just the Hairbutt the Hippo weekly newspaper.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Isn't that a great idea?
It's a brilliant idea, and
Yep.
Jason could absolutely like supply that in the time. He's so fast.
Yep. Um, this one's out of left field, but a Captain Good Vibes Christmas Annual
Wow.
by Tony Edwards.
Yeah. How old is Edwards now? Do you know? Is he like he's older than us, right?
Oh yeah, I'd say so. Yeah,
In his
and he's
70s?
pretty hard. He's incommunicado as far as what Good Vibes is concerned. He's just doing his fine art on the side now.
Yeah, God bless him. That's great.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look him up and see if there's like a birthday. Tony Edwards, yeah. Born 1944. There you go. Makes him 80. Wow. Yeah, you love Captain Good Vibes, yeah.
yeah. So
Is
anyway,
has there been a collection of that?
there has been, yeah, and it's pretty hard to
Yeah.
get these days. It's about 60, $70.
Right.
Back
Do
in
you
the
have
day,
one?
I bought it. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Oh,
So anyway,
right.
something to represent Captain Good Vibes, and I thought an annual, if he was being reprinted as a weekly strip or a monthly strip somewhere, that you'd collect things
Yeah.
as a Christmas time, Australian summer surf annual or something like that.
Yeah.
Again, in
Yeah,
tabloid format, nice and big, you know. So
yeah.
there's that. A Foot Rot Flats Artist Edition.
Wow. Interesting.
I know he's a
Not quite.
Kiwi, and I know it's a Kiwi strip, but you know he's such a part of my
Yeah.
childhood and growing up in Australia.
Yeah.
Something to represent Foot Rot Flats. I know that they released those collections of the Foot Rot Flats strip
Yeah.
back in the day, but to go
Yeah.
up the upper level and do an artist edition, a hardcover artist edition of the strip would be wonderful as well.
Yeah. I wonder if the art exists in bulk anywhere. Like, does his estate still have them? Did he give them away, sell them? Like,
Yeah,
that's
I don't know.
interesting.
Yeah, and that's by Murray Ball, in case people
Yeah.
don't
Yeah. Yeah.
realise. Yeah.
Yeah. I was a fan of Murray Ball uh, before I knew the name.
Hmm.
Before Foot Rot Flats, he did a caveman strip. I can't even remember the name of it. But as a kid, as a really young kid, I would cut those out and color them in and put them in a scrapbook. I loved
Oh,
that the
nice.
look of it so much, even back then.
Yeah.
And I was picky. Like I never, not that there's anything wrong with these strips, but I was never into like BC or Hagar the Horrible, or there were certain strips that I just couldn't look at, even as a kid didn't care for, and other strips like that I just gravitated towards immediately. So
Yeah.
interesting that you have that kind of affinity even at such a young age for what you like and don't like.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's an
Uh,
interesting one. Well done.
yeah. A Phantom comic by Glenn Lumsden would be great.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. Plus, I'd also have a backup by Paul Mason, like a Phantom Vietnam or whatever that Paul Mason wanted to do as a backup story to the Glenn Lumsden main story.
Yeah. Brilliant.
That'd be a comic of very different art styles, but it'd be something to read, I reckon. And speaking of Paul Mason, I always thought that he would be a good replacement artist for me if there was an ongoing series of the Olympians, that satirical superhero strip. I think he'd be a great replacement if there was new Olympians material being drawn up. So a double hit for Paul Mason there. What else have we got here? Something by Michael Dutkiewicz, either an ongoing series of Verity Aloha or a Barbarella style science fiction strip. But that plays to his.
Man, I would so love to see Verity Aloha like completed. It was so beautiful and quirky and
so explain to the viewers what that was initially, or where it was initially.
So it's been a while since I've read it, but it was initially in Reverie, right? The original run of Reverie. No,
it was Eureka.
Eureka, that's right. The Brisbane anthology, spearheaded by Stamatiadis and another guy. They were partners in computer gaming for a while.
Right.
Eureka. Yeah, Verity Aloha. Are you sure? I'm pretty sure Michael Dutkiewicz had something in Reverie, and it might have been a superhero thing.
I don't remember, but you might be right. Yeah.
Or I might just be remembering the advertisement that he drew for a number of comic shops.
I know he did a cover for Reverie, at least. Maybe
Right.
that's what we're remembering. But anyway.
Yeah. So Verity Aloha is probably in the mold of Marilyn Monroe, surface level ditzy blonde, but actually there's a lot going on probably under the surface. But that kind of level of physique as well, but somehow transported into a weird and wonderful space adventure, very psychedelic and 60s pop kind of look to it as well. And she's just trying to figure out who and what to do next, sort of thing. I don't know. That's my memory of it.
Right.
And I know at one point he was trying to do some more pages of it, but his eyesight, I think, is really bad. And I'm not sure what his physical ability with his hands is at the moment either.
Right. But yeah, very cheesecakey and beautifully drawn.
Cheesecake, yeah.
Yeah.
Can we talk a bit more about Michael, or do you want to save this for another day?
No, go for it.
His run on Lost in Space is incredible. And there's two parts to that run in Lost in Space by Innovation Comics, Malibu, someone like that back in the day.
Innovation,
it was like, Innovation sounds right. So everyone had grown up, which I love. I love the idea that we're not trying to set it in the time of the television show. So this is the television show version of Lost in Space, not the movie or the recent television show, because there was that revamp there as well. So that the original 60s version of Lost in Space TV show, but maybe 5 years after the television show, maybe a little bit longer. And just what does that mean to someone like Will? That's his name, right? Will Robinson, who was 10 or 12 when they took off, and now he's 18, and the only females around he's directly related to by blood, and like how does that affect him as he goes through puberty? And so there was just a general kind of Lost in Space adventure thing. But then Billy Mumy came on board, who played Will Smith in the television show, and he wrote
Will Robinson.
He played Will Robinson. Sorry,
You said Will Smith.
Sorry, Will Robinson. I said Will Anderson and Will Smith.
Take that name out of your mouth.
Oh my God. He played Will Robinson, and he's a sci-fi writer in his own right, I believe. And he wrote like this kind of end adventure, because they actually eventually get to Alpha Centauri, which was supposed to be their mission. Right. So even though they were lost in space for all this time, here they are finally getting to Alpha Centauri, and what was the conspiracy behind them getting lost in the first place, and blah, blah, blah. It was really, really cool end to something that, I was drawing the Jupiter 2 spaceship in first grade in little notebooks, actually making a little comic strip page after page of the Jupiter 2 crash landing on a planet, as they always do, and all of this stuff. It was a pretty important show to me, I guess, at age 6 and 7, watching it on the telly. So that was a really cool ending to it. And Michael's work in it, really beautiful, full color, pencil and watercolor, I think, color. And Billy's writing on it was really cool. So something to track down. I think it was being reprinted, so it might be easy enough to find.
And Michael just recently turned 70 last week, so a big happy birthday to him as well.
That's true, he did. Well. Yeah.
Now, as far as an IP is concerned and potential for a great idea, and it is a great idea, well executed, is Sky's Cavern Library. I think the whole idea of a Arctic fox and a cave full of books that open up and allow you to enter that world is a great idea. So I would definitely put money down to, if I had the money, to keep on publishing a regular series of Sky's Cavern Library. I reckon that's a good one.
Yeah.
I think there's a need for more Adventures of the Deep by Tom Taylor and James Brower. I think that was a great concept that Tom was famous and went off to do his American work, and the Deep had an animated series that kept everyone busy for a while. But I think more original adventures in print of the Deep would be a great thing to see as well. And of course, to fill the superhero hole, I reckon an ongoing new series of the Southern Squadron and the Dark Nebula, since how they're now co-joined with their origins, an ongoing series picking up things for the superhero fans. And
yeah, Southern Squadron always had a great Australian take on superheroes. So
yes, yeah,
if Dave DeVries could continue to write it, like honestly, it was something to look forward to when a new issue came out of Southern Squadron, to see what Dave was going to have them come up, get up to.
Yeah.
And I love that deconstructed kind of period of indie superheroes, both American and Australian. But as the main Australian entrant into that kind of thing, brilliant.
Yeah. And just going through my list here, I think that's about it for the short term. I've got Greener Pastures here, but you're you, and we're talking about it, so I'm going to remove that from the list. But it's on my list. But I think it's a given that I think that's a great concept and has potential.
Thank you.
So, and the other one down the bottom here, since how we talked about it, I think last week or the week before, I think last week was Zero Assassin and Cyberswine, those IPs from issue 1. I think I agree with you. They still have legs. Great idea about the Blade Runner-ish Zero Assassin, and the Cyberswine character is bionic pig is a great one as well. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there are things that haven't made the list that for no reason that I just didn't think of them until now. Things like Bug and Stump, I reckon, would be a fun title to continue on with as well, with the original creators involved. And there's probably half a dozen other things that I've left off the list. But just before coming on air, I made a quick list of things that I'd say, I'd spend money on publishing that. Yes, I'd do that. Yes, for sure. And have a really strong library of Cyclone Comics of all those different IPs. I'd be bloody stoked. I'd be so proud, and knowing that each one would have its own, if pushed and marketed correctly, would have its own readership that would just be, very strong, I reckon.
See, if that was the publishing company and that was the lines that they were producing, I think on an international scale, if there was enough money for the right level of production value, but definitely the right level of marketing, it's a winning publishing company. Like all of that stuff is incredible. And this is the thing, we in Australia create comic books and comic book ideas of the level of anybody else. It's just great. So
Yep. Do you have any to add to that list, or any that I might have missed? I know it puts you on the spot in a big way, but we're just having some fun.
It sure does. It's pretty exhaustive. It's and most of the things that came immediately to mind for me were on that list, and obviously it's reflecting our age and the golden period that we look at as well when we're saying Bug and Stump and Platinum Grit, etc. And the thing is, I've kind of pulled back on my buying recently because I don't have time to read it, and I can't be buying comics I'm not going to read. So even the stuff that's coming out currently, I just off the top of my head, I can't even really think of too many things. One person that I would, in my interpretation of the fantasy publishing idea, would be to involve Ashley Wood. If I could get something monthly out of Ashley, 20 to 40 pages a month out of Ashley. So he's in partnership with, forget the guy's name. He's in partnership with a guy at the moment with, is it Synergy?
Yeah.
As a publishing concern. And they have been releasing stuff on almost a monthly basis of Ashley's work. So that is extraordinarily exciting, because there was a point, because it's hard to keep up with what Ashley does because it's kind of all very disjointed. Because
he's got a finger in a lot of pies, I think.
Yeah, the toys that he makes, and then he makes some comics, and then there's art pieces, and then he has an exhibition at the Utra Galleries, and so it's all over the place. And there was a point many years ago, because I haven't seen him for quite a while, where I said, I wish you were making more comics, and he took umbrage at that understandably, he's going, I'm making comics all the time. All the time. I'm going, are you? I like, he said, every toy that I make comes with comics. I'm going, well, I don't know that because I haven't got the money to buy a $500 action figure
Exactly.
or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, they come with a little comic, which almost always seems to be, to me, pretty stream of consciousness sort of adventure of the character that he's invented in the mostly World War robot world.
Yeah.
And they're always amazing, incredible to look at, but also just really just crazy ideas that one of these people, again, who just throws out ideas constantly, and maybe none of them get the attention to develop beyond this stream of consciousness. But that's what I would hope from him, to really create something that was ongoing, a little bit more connected in its own kind of way. So I've got whatever collections the new stuff they've brought out, I haven't read yet. I've been buying it, but I haven't read it yet. But the older stuff, I've bought collected editions of that stuff whenever I could. And there's definitely a world that's built there and characters that hop across, and then it's really fun to read and look at in that regard as well. So,
well, that's a good choice. I'll add that to the list. And since I've worked with in the past, it should have been on there, but there was bound to be someone or a whole swag of people that would go, "What about?" And I'd go, "Oh, of course,
no,
yes.
absolutely." I would love to see Marty Abel draw some comics again. He's only really drawn a few pages. He way back in the early part of his career, he like a lot of us thought, I'll be an indie comic book artist, and did a few indie things for a couple of indie publishers, and then realized that there's probably a lot more money in just doing beautiful artwork, which is what Marty Abel does now. Martin Abel, beautiful artwork.
He lives in Tassie, doesn't he?
He does. He's one of you guys.
Yeah.
So it'd be really lovely to see that turned into comics. Same with Joseph Zecharias. Oh my God, if he was able to sit down and just draw his full color, fully painted illustration comics, the fact that Elfin, which was Julie Dietrich and Joseph's work, kind of collapsed upon itself, was a shame, because the previews that they were publishing of that looked amazing. Great story, great kind of that fantasy, elfish, underwater, mermaidy stuff.
Oversized editions as well, weren't they?
At least one was. I don't know if they were all oversized, but the initial preview was oversized, to show off the incredible artwork. But Joseph is being extremely successful with what he really loves to do at this point. Always a creative person, always an artist, but he makes he's been a collector of Barbie dolls forever. So I've been to his place. He's got quite a collection of Barbie dolls, but he now designs and gets produced. I say mass produced, but I don't know what that really means, whether it's only 100 or 500 or something. Figures, dolls, he calls them dolls. We don't have to, worry about calling them an action figure. He makes these beautiful feminine dolls and amazing outfits on them, and is very successful at it. And I think, I don't know, but I think that means financially successful as well as artistically successful within the sphere of where he's working, but also reasonably financially successful as well. Kind of like Ashley, they're making these toys based on their artwork, and people are attracted to them. There's a real appeal there. So I don't think he's doing much in the way of art, let alone comics.
Right. The other guy worth mentioning that would be hard to nail down for a regular title would be Chris Weil.
Yeah. Although he could do them like this as well. He's super quick.
Is he really? Good on him. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And beautiful. What do you call it? Like that real comic book style of comic illustration.
Yeah.
Wonderful work. Again, I don't know 100% for sure exactly what he's doing, but I'm pretty sure he's making a good living from NFTs, which I know is a dirty word for a lot of people.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
But I think he's been uh, he's gotten involved with a little group as the artist for this NFT collection. And I only get this from the couple of tweets I see every so often, it seems to me. But it's a series of NFTs based on comics. So they actually make a comic. I don't know how many pages, might only be a 6 or a 12 page, but maybe it's a 24. I don't know. But so he draws this comic, and then they make the comic itself is an NFT, and then there's all these other like individual artistic NFTs that go with it.
Yeah, right.
So I think again, this is just, I haven't talked to him about it at all, so I don't have any inside track. But I think he's probably riding that wave for as long as that is continuing to be profitable as well.
Cool.
But yeah, I did an issue, one volume of E-Boy, An Do.
Did you now?
Yeah, do you know that, don't you?
Maybe I know that. Yes.
Oh, yeah. So An Do, who's a prolific, he's got, I don't know, a dozen different adventure books for kids. Chris did the first, I think it was the first 3 or 4 volumes of E-Boy, a bit of a superhero, 14-year-old, 12-year-old boy who's got like electrical powers and whatnot. So he was drawing that, and then I think this NFT stuff became too much work, and he asked if I would want to do one. So I did one, and I don't work nearly as fast as he does, so it just wasn't worth my time.
Yeah, right.
It was good enough fun, and then I handed that on to Marcelo Baez, who's absolutely killing it, much better suited to that kind of thing than I am.
Right.
So yeah, there's a little connection to Wall there.
Yeah, cool.
We were all so jealous of his skills from day one when he came out with Platinum, not Platinum Grit, but he did his own little anthology called Platinum, little superhero thing. And even back then, like when he was probably 18 or 20, maybe 22, I don't know, very young man. Like, man, this is Marvel superhero level of illustration. It was
he came fully formed, didn't he? Yeah.
Fully formed.
Yes.
What a bugger.
Speaking of anthologies, PCAF is on soon. When is PCAF on? Is that coming up?
Usually July.
Right, okay. And I saw a Facebook post that they've released the latest edition of their anthology newspaper. What's that called? Something Tales?
Yeah, is it like Village Tales or something like that? It's got a community villagey sort of.
Yeah. But that's about the 3rd or 4th edition of those tabloids that they've done, and they're very well worth tracking down. And I thought it was worth mentioning as well, seeing as how on my list of fantasy publishing, they're all like old school like creators, and I haven't really tipped my hat to new stuff that's floating around. But that one, being a tabloid format newspaper, really tickles my senses. So track those down if you can. They're WA based and issued at PCAF, I assume, each year.
Yeah, exactly. It's and by the way, if you look up PCAF, you're not going to find it. You have to look up Perth Comics Arts Festival. I just did that, or it's pcaf.org.au. But yeah, Tailtown, that's what it's called.
Tailtown. I knew Tail was in it. I just thought it was something Tales, but Tailtown, yes.
Yeah.
So they got a new issue of that. I think the earlier ones might be hard to track down, but they got a current issue floating around this year's PCAF as well. So well worth trying to track down copies.
Exactly. So large format, beautiful artwork.
Yeah. And finally, for me, very quickly, just that Beau's still powering ahead with his Nightside Kickstarters. His 3rd one is about to go live very shortly. So the first 2 issues have been out and about, and the 3rd one is now being pushed, and he's going quite well there. So the marathon to get 9 issues down and published, he's done all the art for them. So it's now just the publishing and Kickstarter thing. So
brilliant. He doesn't need us as a publisher, right? He doesn't have to be part of our fantasy publishing. He's churning them out regardless. Good on him.
So if you want a fun, bizarre read, track down Nightside by Fly By Night Graphics on Kickstarter, and you're in for a treat because Beau's always
brilliant. Yeah, I wish I had more time on my hands. I would love to do some fan art of Nightside on the Rock. They're very cool characters.
Yeah, indeed. Okay. Well, that's all I got. Shall we wind up?
I reckon. Let's. I think they've had enough of us by now, the poor listeners.